I have with me here Mr. Dhirubhai Vandekar, who just recently retired as the Chief of Air India Operations in Pune, at Pune Airport and the Pune office. He has been in Pune and at the Pune Airport and has seen its growth for the last almost 20 years. And he has been intimately involved with the operations and the working of the airport since he had a great part in making sure that the flights come and take off on time, and to increase the number of flights and so on and so forth. Having just retired, he has all the latest data, and I would like to be interviewing him and asking him a few questions to highlight what and where the current Pune airport is leading us to. Mr. Vandekar, good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Just wanted to start that you've been with Air India for almost 20 years in Pune, right?
Pune I've been for 1.5 decades. That's
15 years. Okay. So you've seen the Pune airport's growth from hardly 1 lakh, 2 lakh passengers to now how many passengers last year?
Thousands. Last annum we carried about 42 lakh passengers.
42 lakh passengers. So this is what I'm saying, that what do you feel now, the current airport? When do you think, how long do you think we can afford to keep on?
Presently Pune airport is having a traffic of on an average 68 flights per day. And the airport is designed to handle 1.12 million passengers per annum. You will be surprised to know that the present passenger movement out of Pune airport is 4.2 million passengers.
That is 42 lakh passengers, whereas the design capacity is 11 lakh passengers. Or 12 lakh passengers.
Absolutely.
So already we have more than 3.5 times what it is supposed to be handling. And what is your experience been with the Air Force? Air Force also is actually controlling the airport. How liberal are they, or how possible is it for them to give us more slots for landing and taking off? You said there are 68 flights now coming. What is the current situation? How many more flights do you think we can handle at this airport during the working hours that the Air Force allows us?
Air Force, as we all know, look after the Air Force, as we all know, looks after the runway control.
Yeah.
And Airport Authority looks after the terminal side. So the landings and takeoffs is controlled by Air Force.
Right. Number of flights per day is also controlled by them.
There is a limitation on the number of slots that can be given by Air Force, because basically this is a defense airfield.
And they need time for their training and all.
Priority always has to be for the safety and security of the nation. There has been a lot of expectations from the Air Force for the commercial flights. But we must understand that there is a limitation to which these slots can be given by them.
So I think I was given to understand, maybe you can correct me, that Air Force has made it clear to the civil authorities that no more than 70 flights can be done, except if we want to fly between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. Do you think it's practical for domestic flights to be flying from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning?
No, as we all know, the prime time for domestic flights is either in the morning or late in the evening.
Correct.
Late night there will hardly be any...
so that can only be used for international flights?
It can be used for international flights, but then those have to be competitive. The routes have to be competitive. There is a limitation of this present airport that only 8 parking bays are available. Only 2 aero bridges are available.
Correct.
Out of the 8 parking bays, 1 is kept for the non-scheduled operators, 1 is kept for the VIP.
Nice. So only 6 are actually available.
Only 6 are actually available. And given the limited number of hours available for civil flights, even the 6 at times when the schedule goes haywire, there's a big tightrope walk that the airlines have to do. So all the services at the airports are under tremendous strain and pressure because of this.
So how much more traffic? We already did 42 lakh last year. The traffic has been growing, if I understand, maybe you can correct me, at between 18 to 20% per annum. So if the same trend continues, what will be the traffic next year? It should be about 48 lakh passengers. But do we have the number of seats available in the planes in 70 flights to take 48 lakh passengers?
If you are asking about the capacity of the airport and what Pune needs,
Yes.
we should have had more than 100 flights operating out of this airport
Right now.
in under normal circumstances. We should have had more than 100 flights operating out of this airport, out of which 10 to 15 at the least would have been for international.
Correct.
Because there is a great demand for Singapore, there is a great demand for most of the Gulf countries, there is a great demand for US, there is a great demand for Europe from this place. But because of the limitations of this airport, Pune has not been able to do justice.
So that also, you see, Bombay-Delhi flights, which are almost the same duration, are selling for roughly 5,000 rupees plus minus, whereas Pune-Delhi is selling for anywhere between 8,500 and 9,000 more or less plus minus, except those few seats that they sell at low prices.
Absolutely.
So what is the reason for that? That is also because limited capacity, so the airlines are charging more.
Exactly.
So if once the capacity is fully used, the airlines will charge even more because the scarcity will be even more. So, I mean, isn't that affecting the passengers from Pune? They are paying double of any other city.
It is not. It is, sir. It is not just the case of Delhi route. It is also the case in case of international routes.
Correct.
Like if you are taking a flight to US or London from Bombay, the fares you will find are quite cheaper. And if you take a connecting flight out of Pune, you will find the fares to be higher.
Much higher.
Actually, have we had a direct flight out of Pune, the fares would have been competitive.
Correct.
Another factor is the expressway. Expressway is become a threat nowadays because of the number of accidents happening, the number of lives being lost for various reasons. And you cannot expect Pune people, which is considered to be a business hub, a manufacturing hub, IT hub, cannot expect people to take uncertain road travel for 4.5 hours to Bombay. Then we have a reporting time for about 2 hours for domestic, 3 to 4 hours for international. There's a lot of wastage of time.
Time, fuel, costs, everything
Absolutely.
goes up. But I mean, obviously nobody seems to understand that. And according to me, you see, the situation is coming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that 2 years from now, people will have to drive to Bombay to fly to Delhi, or drive to Bombay to fly to Bangalore. You know, for a 2-hour flight, we'll have to waste 4 to 5 hours traveling one way.
Yes.
And similarly, 4 to 5 hours back.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously nobody is concerned about that because, I mean, leave alone the new airport, which is hanging fire and which I am told by people that will never happen for Pune. You know, and very senior people have told me that it will never happen. You see, and the fact that even the land for acquiring the land for extending the runway length, that also has been stuck for the last 10 years and not much action is being taken. It is just being taken in a chalta hai manner ke jab bhi hoega hoega to ho jayega, nahi hoega to nahi hoega. Because what do you feel with the extension of the runway? Won't it be possible to increase the capacity of number of passengers to be picked up?
Any development at Pune airport will help in getting additional flights, whether it is extension of runway, whether it is additional space for more parking bays. This is all essential because we must understand present Pune airport is not just saturated, but it is super saturated.
Super saturated.
And doing anything in this present scenario could prove disastrous also.
It's true. And what happens if, God forbid, there is some situation of war or something, and the Air Force needs the airport on a full-time basis? You know, they cannot. They have to be able to fly at minute's notice. That means Pune's flying will stop. What will the business people and the travelers of Pune do at that time?
It must be understood with all the commercial considerations. Pune airport is a single runway airport.
Correct.
It is not even having 2 airports. So normally it should have.
2 runways are also not.
And in case of any such eventuality, definitely it
Civilian
will affect
airlines will
civil
stop.
flights.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the priority will be for the safety and security of the aircraft.
course.
nation.
We accept that.
But when in today's times we are having a lot of talk about a smart city. Pune,
Correct.
everybody wants to make Pune a smart city. But there is no talk of developing Pune airport to cater to the existing demands. Pune will never be a smart city unless you have an independent airport.
Yeah.
Unless you have an independent airport doing justice to the present capacity and with a futuristic provision for say next 20 years.
With growth rates of 15 to 20%,
Yes.
we should be looking at more than 100 million passengers in a few years' time.
Absolutely.
How is this airport ever going to be able to? It was designed for 1.1 million. You know, so it will reach 10 million very soon. So which facility can take 10 times the load?
And this, as we all know, this is going to adversely affect the commerce and industry of Pune.
It already has.
The fantastic dream of make in India
And make it Pune.
may prove a setback because Pune is already hub in as far as IT sector is concerned. Pune is number 2 only to Bangalore.
Correct.
As far as the exports are concerned.
50,000 crores last year.
63,000 crores, sir. 63,000 crores were the export of Pune, second only to Bangalore, which had 1 lakh crore export.
Now this thing is
Now, I would like to make one point on this, sir. Anywhere in the world, if you see where the business and commerce has developed, people now don't plan for the rail route or the road route. They say, I'll fly into this city at my convenience and fly out of it after completing my business deals. That is what the global industry, manufacturers, commerce are wanting today for making investments into any place. Unfortunately, that is what Pune is not able to offer. Because one, global manufacturers, global corporates must have the convenience of coming in and coming out. They will always fly in and fly out at their convenience. But this is affecting, there's a lot of limitations.
Now you were at the airport for 15 years, as you said, at Pune. And I'm sure you must have taken part in many meetings talking about the new airport or fresh airport and things like that. What do you think has prevented this from happening? Where is it? What is it that really has prevented this from the new airport from coming up? Everyone recognizes the need. I personally met 3 chief ministers and the 4th one I'm going to meet. All of them say yes, it is required. But why doesn't it happen? What you must have seen it from inside. You can give us some sort of understanding as to what is the thing that is really holding up matters.
So we all know that the land area has to be finalized first.
Yes.
Because these are processes involved. The land has to be finalized. The land has to be earmarked. If the certain amount of land is in government holding, certain amount is in private holding, then that land has to be acquired. And only after that the work will commence.
So what has prevented this from happening?
Concerned agencies have to ensure that. They have to ensure this.
Anyways,
without that, the new developments will not take place.
Right.
And another thing I would like to highlight, even if everything is in place as on date, the land is in place, the permissions are in place, the environment permissions are in place, it will take not less than 4 years for the first flight to minimum.
Easily, 4 years.
For the first flight to land or take off from this airport.
Right.
But then what happens in this intrinsic period?
I think
the
only interim solution that we can think of is at least the extension of the runway so that larger planes can land, and thereby in those 70 flights, instead of 180 seats per flight, we can make it 300 seats or 250 seats per flight. That will at least increase absorb that extra traffic and this thing. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
So I think
extension of runway and additional land for parking place.
So that is probably the first thing that we should be looking at, and the new airport alongside at the same time.
One more suggestion I would like to give to airport authority in this regard is if the VIP, if they assess the number of VIP flights, and if that one bay which they have kept, if that can be released during certain hours for civil flights, that might ease up the situation a bit, and some more flights can be added in cooperation.
Another thing is, I know that recently for non-scheduled, that is private aircraft, and fresh hangars, etc. have been made. But don't you think that one solution could also be to shift these non-scheduled private aircraft to a smaller airport, maybe in Hadapsar or that side where the glider drone was, or in that area, so that that much load could be reduced